We're good to go.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our July 15, 2025 committee of the meeting. And start with the disclosure of it. I need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Turkey, Councilor Scott. Adjustment minutes of June 10th, 2025. All in favor? We're going to move on. Consent application 2025-06. In the report, staff planners have identified three options for condition B, and I'm going to read them. By law amendment to rezone a portion of the proposed severed lot to the environmental protection EP zone to include land within 120 of the unclassified wetland. Two, have the environmental impact study completed to evaluate the unclassified wetland feature on the proposed severed lot in accordance with section 521 of the official plan. And for consent agreement as required to satisfaction of the township. Three, that a notice be placed on title for prescribed instruments such as the consent agreement be registered on title with the land registry that states that a qualified environmental professional must identify an appropriate building location on the subject lands prior to the issuance of the building permit, and a minimum that the building location be at least 120 meters from any identified wetland feature for environmental protection zone on the proposed severed lot. Staff of our township planners have recommended option one being a zoning bylaw amendment. Does anyone wish to discuss the other issues? Go ahead.
Wondered what I do with my documents from.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. Steve McArthur, I'm senior planner with Pelico to the North Bay office. And thanks for the opportunity to both produce a supplemental report and come speak to you about it this evening. I won't take up much time. I trust that everybody on the committee has had a chance to visit the site and brave the deer flies Don walked in to see how deep and unnecessary in our opinion that the rezoning on the property is. I did produce a supplemental report, and I know that the committee briefly would have read through it. I just want to make a couple of points. The recommendation that your township planners are putting forward, it's not the question there, the question about expense. The application itself, the expense comes in identifying wetlands. The second file that you're going to hear about this evening, we did that process. We hired a professional wetland evaluator who identified the wetlands. It was then surveyed out and will be included in EP zoning that will be recommended in the second file that you're going to be addressing this evening. That process was thousands of dollars and took the better part of a year. What I'm suggesting to the committee is that it is not required in this instance. We used the apples and oranges between the two. They were creating a lot line between in EP zone. They were looking at building sites that at first might have had to traverse through that wetland area. This is not the case with this particular property. As anyone who's been out there on the site can see, it's high at the road, dropping to an elevation. I walked a quarter of a kilometer in and still couldn't find a wetland feature. So I mean, it's a significant distance, and if you look at Tilbury Road, you'll see what we are proposing, what is being suggested by your planner is that we create 120 meter buffer around mapping from 1984 that has no wetland evaluation done on it. Desktop exercise, MNRF. And so, respectfully, what are we achieving by doing that? The notice on title, which is a perfectly valid land titles way of dealing with issues, would be a notice to any particular purchaser that before they build anything on the site, they would have to have a qualified wetland evaluator come out to the site and identify a suitable building location, development location. What you're reading in your reports is that by definition, a creation of a lot is development. Granted, these are two original township lots that we are putting back the way they were before they merged on title. So respectfully, there's zero impact, and this is the whole case. There's zero impact to the wetland feature, given that the development site is nowhere near the wetland feature and identified by that 1984 map. If we were, I hesitate to even bring this up, but if the idea of a registration on title, a notice on title is not acceptable, then we move back to just strike condition D altogether. We're not achieving anything by doing that, except delaying the process and costing the applicant significant dollars. We did not know what there was a comment in a response from the planner about if we brought the application forward to the last meeting, we'd be done by now. Fundamentally disagree with that. I don't know how you arbitrarily decide what is 120 meters from a wetland feature without evaluating wetland. How do you do that? So with that being said, our ask is still to strike that condition. It's unnecessary to put these back the way they were. It's expensive, and as a suitable alternative, we are recommending a notice on title. It has nothing to do with the registrar office. It is a legal document that notifies any purchaser that they must have this site evaluated prior to the building permit being issued. That's our submission. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I had an opportunity to drive by the site, aside from the deer five, saw the baby bear run across it. I stayed in the truck, so I'm sorry. Points noted, understood, but the policies we're working with within the official plan in these cases, when evaluating new law creation, require an environmental impact study to be completed for development within 120 meters of unclassified wetlands. That's the policy. In order to be somewhat flexible, we will say you have the option of doing an EIS to confirm the boundary. Acknowledge we don't know where the boundary is. So there's an option to study, confirm the boundaries, confirm potential buffers, and go through that process. We did not ask for that. We've asked for proactively the lands to be zoned from the map wetland that was provided by NR when we updated the official plan to satisfy that policy in the official plan. So acknowledge that it hasn't been evaluated, but if development through a land use, an appropriate land use mechanism, like section 34 was one bylaw is implemented, then it conforms to that policy. The method now basically any building permit, any road building permit have to be accompanied by an use. It's a public mechanism. Everyone knows where the boundary is, and you can get it inside that boundary. So ultimately, we understand land use planning is sometimes. So there's a differing opinion here. So ultimately, we do support the zoning approach, like we have in the past, in order to further that policy or official plan. As part of the development process, I think we said we could have had a zoning bylaw spring. So that's where we're at. We still support the zoning bylaw. Ultimately, you have some options, some mechanisms that would prevent development from the 120 meters of that feature, and that's been provided by here. So, but again, section 34 is the appropriate land use mechanism one could like to control where buildings and structures go, not necessarily agreements on tariffs.
For you, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. And Mr. Town summarized it well. I concur that the notice on title would require anybody doing any development that required a permit to have it evaluated. In that instance, that's pretty much the same process as going through a zoning bylaw amendment or identifying 120 meters as a buffer area. It's a lot quicker, cheaper. It can be done at the same time as the consent is registered by the lawyer who's registering the consent. We can come up with wording that is appropriate and acceptable for the committee and to the staff and to the plan in terms of that notice. Lastly, I wanted to say that without evaluating it and putting 120 meters just arbitrary around that wetland, you could be including lands that are potentially water. We had a little hell this afternoon. I think it's fair to say, and the staff and planner will concur that the environmental policies in the official plan are not consistent with provincial policies right now. There's nothing that says you can't develop within 120 meters. It says you can't develop within 30 meters of wetland. You just have to go through the right process to do that. You just have to go through the application process to do that. Meet new developments in wetlands and in wetland buffers, all of that. So this is, with all due respect, check a box on your policy, and the policy is that's Mr. Town's job to make sure that that you're meeting your official plan policy and checking those boxes. I am saying to the committee that there's a common sense approach to this application. Anyone who went there sees that this makes no sense. And there's zero impact and there's zero use in zoning 120 meter buffer around a wetland at the far rear of the property that has zero chance of impacting any other development on the property. So that's why we were proposing a notice on title. We didn't know that a zoning bylaw amendment was going to be recommended. Again, that was a recommendation that you can take or modify as you choose. That's the approval authority. We didn't know until we came to the meeting. Well, respectfully, a couple hours before the meeting, that was going to be a recommendation. Otherwise, we would have had this meeting and this discussion outside of this committee. But here we are. That's the way it was presented. We have no choice but to advocate on behalf of our client. That condition need to be struck or at least modified to be a notice on title as opposed to covered zone.
Any questions from the committee?
Would you just tell me what you think this remedy, what the downside is for the township?
Downside?
Well,
Like with the decision, like our opinion in the original report and follow report is that this mechanism is only by law results in the application conforming to. That's what our opinion is, and that is only by law is appropriate land use to the mechanism for the structures are permitted. So that's our recommendation and recommended process. I would have before it is an alternative option that would still result in the setback. So that is
so the impacts on process, there in both remedies, there's no impact on the land use.
Potentially, if the question is directly where the wanted it, then no.
On that, there's kind of the whole plan. I'm going to give it basically one practice or one
Potentially, like that's not much
get it, and, but we have flexibility here. We're not hurting. Either there's only by a lot or the land use.
Same as I would say. Either way. The question of the appropriate thing.
So to satisfy this, at this point, and all due respect, we have to look into it. If we don't. The notice on title. And I realize that we put a lot of effort into our land planning and the program. So that's, in my opinion, I think that's quite important.
So the committee's decision, our recommendation stands back.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Sorry, apologies. The committee has the ultimate decision approval authority on what conditions it's implemented here. At the end of the day, staff provides a recommendation and that in multiple occasions, but ultimately, yes, it's the committee's decision what conditions it's implemented.
How does it impact building for timing and expense?
I can speak to process, like a zoning bylaw amendment is approximately 6 months. Again, the wording, I have to go back to the report, but we could have been considering zoning bylaw amendment at the next meeting following the last meeting on June. So timing, it's approximately 2 months for zoning bylaw amendment. A notice on title, you're more or less dealing with lawyers, township lawyer.
I'm just thinking, where will this? I'm worried that you might take 4 or 5, 6 months. And then after he gets the notice on the title, he still got to apply owners.
6 months?
Through Mr. Chair, it's not the township, under the registry, but it's Mr. Adams. It's not the township. So we could register that on title. It would be a condition of the approval that that notice be registered prior to the.
Goes to our lawyer.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the language to confirm that.
Definitely does.
Understand. I understand. It's still it's still a much cheaper alternative for Mr. Adams than doing the way your system is working right now. You're recommending a rezoning within 120 meters of an unevaluated wetland or an EIS. When you do the EIS, as you're going to hear in the next slide, it recommends the boundary of the wetland. So my question in that flawed process, why would you ever do an EIS? We're given the option here of just putting 120 meter buffer around the unevaluated wetland. I'm asking staff, how do you do that? Are you using the M&R mapping and then using a mapping tool and just putting 120 meter bubble around that? Because that's what I'm hearing. That's a 2 month process. I will concur with Mr. Towns. That is what is being asked. But when we're saying register and notice on title, that a wetland evaluator has to go out on the site prior to the issuance of the building permit and or for any structure and identify an appropriate location. That allows them to close the property, close the consent, close the property, advertise it for sale, and that notice is available for the purchaser to know that they have to meet when you go to construct.
So we have 3 conditions. So Each property condition 3. And our plan is our property condition 1.
You want to vote? Is that what you're saying? For me, I stay with the strategic plan that's there for everybody. Everybody has to follow the same rules.
And that's the zoning bylaw amendment.
Mary Ann, if I can't answer this myself, but if I could ask a question of either Patrick or Paul, relative to what Councillor Scott is asking. Over the number of years that I've been sitting on this committee and Neil Meglin prior to this, what similar types of situations have we been in? To my knowledge, my recollection, how we've decided based on the policies that are in place and so on. Can you give us some examples of how some of the decisions have been made?
It's meant to be flexible. Landowners that that's been the standard practice. And again, it's meant to be flexible. We understand it doesn't mean so it's this is another application, but the applicant isn't necessarily applicant the planning for it's processing the application so that these is implemented to public as well. So that land is protected in the long term in your planning document. So in all honesty, when this situation arises, when there's a vacant property that comes out of the consent application and there's a classified wetland, this is the process that we use in the past. And through the community adjustment and then the reasonable process. So this is to be consistent with full actions. The right.
That was my understanding as well. Thank you.
It could just, I just want to read policy is not consistent with provincial policy right now. So the way that you've always done things, you have a planner here who is challenging that. I'm saying that what you're doing is not consistent with provincial. There's been significant changes to provincial policy, and you can develop within an unevaluated wetland. You can develop within provincially significant wetland with the right approvals in place. What Mr. Towns is saying to you is that that's the way it's always been done, so we should just continue to do it that way. I'm giving you an alternative that says that's equally as effective, if not more, because we will actually have a professional who's qualified in wetland evaluation, identify the development sites. Right now, you are suggesting that we're just going to put another 120 meter bubble around what we think is the wetland areas, and that's good enough.
Please clarify the provincial policy.
Yes, there's been recent changes in policy that you can develop within 30 meters of the wetland if you get the proper approval process, either through the conservation authority or through the depending on where the territory is.
That would mean we need to change our policy.
Correct.
And so are we willing to put this on hold for a year while we change the policy?
No,
I definitely don't want to do that.
I agree with you. That's why we're giving you an alternative.
But that means that we have to go against the policy that we currently have. Yeah, I'm not one to say it's the way we've always done it, so let's carry on. But if we're going to change it, we have to change it officially. So everybody follows it. And I'd like to see this completed. I'd like to see this developed and sold.
Yeah.
And with respect, the provincial policy, provincial plan statement now speaks to significant wetlands. Doesn't speak to unclassified wetlands. If you plan and they say municipalities have the ability to create their own land use policies on your official plan, we're already unclassified wetlands. So conservation authorities have
define your own policies for unclassified. Final point, I can see that I'm swimming upstream here, so I can beat a dead horse, but in my supplemental report on page 5, that was authored by someone who is a qualified wetland evaluator working out of their office. Unevaluated wetlands are wetlands that have not been evaluated by a trained wetland evaluator. While they have not been assessed for their significance unknown, they are still subject to policies and guidelines of municipalities and other regulatory authorities. Many wetlands in northern Ontario fall into this category. This is Nipissing Township. It is a general best management practice to not permit development within a wetland, but it is possible to get a permit to develop in an unevaluated or non-provincially significant wetland through an application process. Arbitrarily assigning a further 120-meter designation buffer around an unevaluated wetland respectfully should not be recommended by someone who's not a trained wetland evaluator. So I know it's the way you've always done it. That's what I'm here to argue on behalf of First Line. And I respectfully am asking, is that what we're going to do? Are we going to take the 1984 MNRF mapping, that's a desktop exercise, and we're going to draw 120 meters around it, and that is going to be satisfying to the zoning bylaw amendment? That would be the zoning bylaw amendment? Yeah. Without having to survey it, map it, do it.
Okay, we're gonna move on. I need a mover and a seconder. Scott, Councillor Wallace. And I'll read it. Decision. The purpose of this application is to create one new lot on the subject lands for a total of 2 lots. Lots including the following. The proposed retained lot is to have a lot area of approximately 40.5 hectares, 100 acres, and a lot frontage of approximately 300 meters on public road. The proposed separate lot is to have a lot area of approximately 40.5 hectares, 100 acres, and a lot frontage of approximately 490 meters on public road. An existing dwelling and accessory building structures are located on the proposed retained lot. The Township and Nipissing Committee of Adjustment approves consent application C 2025-06 by providing provisional consent subject to the following conditions. The applicant provides the township with a copy of the reference plan to be deposited in the land registry office that is substantially in compliance with the application sketch. The original executed transfers, deeds, both duplicate and originals, and 1 photocopy per consent. A schedule describing both the retained and severed lot and the applicable grantor or grantee attached to the transfer for approval purposes. The zoning bylaw amendment to rezone a portion of the proposed separate lot to the environmental protection zone to include lands within 120 meters of the unclassified wetland feature. Any travel road situated on the retained or separate lot shall be transferred to the township for road purposes if applicable. Entrance permit from the township where applicable. Written confirmation that sufficient capacity exists for treatment capacity for all sewage to the satisfaction of the township of Nipissing, and a certificate in the appropriate form prescribed in OREG 197/96 Schedule 1 for signature of the Township of Nipissing Committee of Adjustment official secretary, treasurer, or chairperson. All in favor? on. I need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Pedro, Councilor Bertie. And I'll read this. Application C 2025-07, C 2025-08, and C 2025-09. Applicant Pollock Engineering, Steve MacArthur, and owner Peter Henry Owen. Decision: the purpose of this application include the following: C 2025-07 consent lot creation. The owner is proposing to create 2 new lots on the subject lands. One of the proposed lots has a lot frontage on Ruth Lake and has frontage and access on Alsace Road. The other proposed lot has frontage on Alsace Road. C 2025-08 consent lot additions. The owner is proposing a total of 3 lot additions on the subject lands. Lots 2, 3, and 4 are proposed to be enlarged as a result of the proposed lot additions. C 2025-09 easements. The owner is proposing easements in order to correct existing access issues for all surrounding properties and to ensure all the proposed lots have legal access. The Township and Nipissing Committee of Adjustment approves consent application C 2025-07, C 2025-08, and C 2025-09 by providing provisional consent subject to the following conditions: that the applicant provides the township with a copy of the reference plan to be deposited in the land registry office that is substantially in compliance with the application sketch for the proposed lots and easements. The original executed transfers needs both duplicate and original and 1 photocopy per consent. A schedule describing the proposed new lots, severed lot 1 and severed lot 2, and the lot addition, and naming the applicable grantor and grantee attached to the transfers for approval purposes. Any travel roads situated on the subject land shall be transferred to the township for road purpose use if applicable. Entrance permit from the township will be, where applicable. Written confirmation that sufficient capacity exists for treatment and capacity of sewage to the satisfaction of the township. Approval of the zoning bylaw amendment to implement the new wetland boundary and the rezone of the shoreline lots to avoid split zoning. Consent agreement to be registered on title to include the recommendations and the mitigation measures provided in the wetland mapping and bird nesting assessment and the wildland fire risk assessment. And a certificate in the appropriate form prescribed in ORA 197/96 Schedule 1 for signature the Township Committee of Adjustment official secretary, treasurer, or chairperson. It's a lot of reading.
Good group.
Yes.
Thank you. This is also one of my files this evening, and I just wanted to, much less adversarial and confrontational, wanted to thank staff and the planner for working through this. When Mr. Towns is going to run you through the report. This is about bottom line, fixing access so that everyone has access. It's about increasing property areas for a couple of properties, and it's about good planning at the end of the day. And it's taken us a better part of a year to get here, to be honest. And I read through the report. We'll talk about one of the conditions later, but for the most part, I'll let Patrick run through the report and answer questions from our side if we can.
Thank you, and just to be brief, but again, thank you to the Altmans and Mr. MacArthur for their work on this. They pre-consulted with us at an early stage, and admittedly, it looked complicated at the start.
It still does.
I agree, but together, we work collaboratively, it's in a good position, we organize the figures. The figures tell the story here, in my opinion, when we review this report. At the end of the day, there's three lot additions taking place, so there's adjustments to existing lot lines. There's no new lots being created as a result of the lot additions. But there are two new lots being created, which are the new separate lot one, separate lot two, and that conforms to the policies of the official plan in terms of the number of lots that are being created. So there's no issues with the proposed lot layouts. There's no issues from our side about the two new lots that are being created. And as Mr. Arthur mentioned, easements, not to get into the detail, but they really rectify existing situations for the landowners and surrounding landowners. So we're comfortable with the recommendations. Number one, lot creation. Number two, and easements. The applicants through expense that there's a fire hazard rating on property. Or provide site-specific recommendations on how the land envelopes can be established in the future in a safe manner. So that's proposed to be implemented through a consent agreement, which is in I think section 51.6 of the plan act allows you to register such an agreement. One agreement as straightforward as possible. At the same time, the environmental impact study in their nesting study, they have some site-specific recommendations that will also be implemented in that consent agreement. And most importantly, there is a requirement to let them out in this case, and that will be implemented in the zoning bylaw amendment. And just to the point, there is a condition that speaks to split zoning. We spoke with Mr. MacArthur today, just so it's on the record. Staff of the zoning bylaw states are going to be flexible in that requirement. It's the split zoning at the end of the day because of a lot of issues between the limited service residential zone and shoreline residential zone. But at the end of the day, we look at it closer and they're similar, same uses, permitted uses. So that aspect of that condition is more straightforward. We're not proposing changes to the rural zone on the north side of the property because it is standard to have shoreline zoning portion for existing lots. So there's no issues based on the conditions that we get. All in favor? Ooh. And the seconder.
It's 40.
The committee of the judge and meeting be adjourned at 6:40 p.m. All in favor?
Mr. Mayor, if you're okay, we'll take a 5-minute
Yeah.
to restart, You're good, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tuesday, July 15, 2025 council meeting. And we're late, but we're starting. Start with disclosure of the pecuniary interest. Staff reports. Councilor Chelsea.
No, I don't think.
I have.
Councilor
Yes, I have. The Zoom board meeting from July 7th. So the gift shop, of course, is open. So for that, and we work on the foundation. They did the games day at the library, bit of a bust, there was some serious weather coming through that day, so. And they donated and stuff that they picked out the library. Donated that, yeah. And the tea and talk, of course. Yeah, I was waiting to get it there, but I didn't get there. But they're up there down. So they'll do a real fun. And one more. The worker and baskets is the next. Item.
Butter making,
Butter, sorry, butters first, then.
basket
then
making.
Basket making. And then here. And artifacts and reports are all for. Jason. So we get all that organized and worked out. And.
We're going to spend what our museum proves or to expand
Yes,
Yes.
as well.
yes.
Yeah.
On the 26th, they're attending the Summer Fest. Yes.
So it'd be nice if many people could go even like for.
Yeah.
couple
Show
hours.
some support to
Yeah.
that.
So our museum will be closed that day.
Yes.
And then we're inviting the Commanda Museum to Heritage Day as well.
And so that's everything that happened in the museum, and then in the library. We had a discussion on failure to capture all items in the library. There were some things that being dropped, not, so we're working on things to bring that up. They probably they made a motion to move money to the our article review for 2026 will be in February next time around. Amendments to the programming and sales and benefit schedule. A report from the board on the Ontario Library Services Board, Federation of Ontario Public Library Board. Board members went to that and broadcast and stuff that there will be a conference. This will be a Zoom conference on November the 20th, coming up at 6 to 8 p.m. Also, new Chisholm rep, Jenny. Football, is a new Chisholm rep. We will be doing the fundraising on the Music Festival of 22nd, 5 p.m. I have flyers. Anyway, some flyers out. It looks like we have 5 or 6 players for the music festival. So local, some really good local talent. So I encourage everybody to go for that.
Where?
That'll be behind the library. There will be food vendor, not sure who it's going to be yet. and live music from 5 different groups. I think it's 5, possibly 6 different. We got the grant for the life jacket, for adult life jackets from the Lions Club. Appreciate that. Bug Shirt Company donated $1,000. Arbor Works donated $250. And we got Friends of the Library $200. And we didn't use up the full trillium fund or the final payment. Terry, summer jobs. We wound up getting 3 students, not on the 2 part-time and 1. So because 2 of the students couldn't, they have a different schedule. So we wound up with 3 students, but it's still going to fall under that, under summer jobs. We got voice policy, which is when succession planning for September. And we did all like that. Waiver and liability.
I'd just like to say what a great job Jillian and her staff and everybody volunteers did. It was beautiful the way it's all set up, and the food, they had so much food made, and it's all from scratch. Anyway, I just want to tell them congratulations, they did a great job. And we'll move on.
If I could just add to that, Mr. Mayor, it was all sourced locally. We had many vendors that were sourced locally. The bacon and the bread was made, was donated at the local farm, and bread was made locally. Maple syrup was donated locally. So she sourced so many of the things to ensure it was done locally. So I just want to make mention of that. So
Yeah, it was really well done.
yes, yeah. So we thank the community.
So.
In your packages was a fire report. This was a midway report.
The minutes of the regular council meeting held June 24, 2025 be adopted and published. All in favor? And I need a mover and a seconder. That we confirm the appointment of firefighters to the Township of Nipissing Fire Department as listed on Appendix A attached to this resolution. All in favor?
Can I
Yes.
ask something? Mr. Lamb, his last name is incorrect. Oh, okay. Okay, that, I want to say that. It's you. Pardon me.
Yeah, we keep fixing it, so I don't know why it keeps going back. We'll look into it. Thank you.
If you could adjust that.
Yeah.
You could appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? And a mover and a seconder. That we approve the 2025-2026 insurance renewal provided by Impact Public Entities for the township of Nipissing. All in favor? Okay. So everyone has read the Ruth Haven Drive. Everybody good with it?
I'm with option A, but I have one quick question, and it's more of an accounting question. If it was due next year, can they still put it in the budget and then transfer the money back to reserves after? Like, if,
No,
no?
is the short answer.
Yeah.
Only because you usually use the community building fund,
Yeah.
so you can move that balance.
Okay, I just don't know if, I thought maybe we're taking it from reserves, and I want to make sure you put it back.
What we can do when we do the budget next year is just make sure that we put that into reserve and do it as a separate item.
Okay, yeah, that's,
So everyone's good with A, option A?
yeah.
So when resolution, we added.
Yeah.
We only have one of circuits.
Yeah.
So the dental service treatment had been requested for an additional 4,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've reached out to Bencourt, didn't get back to me, but I have reached out to them.
Okay.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
did estimated cost on the resolution. One.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side,
Yeah.
so there was no room, we don't have to use all of that. We would only take from reserve what the actual cost would be.
Yeah, so I need a mover. Councilor Burton. And Councilor Scott. That we receive the staff report provided regarding required repairs to Ruth Haven Drive. And that we support staff recommendation A to repair the road base and prepare the site for surface treatment at an estimated cost of $20,000, not included in the 2025 budget. All in favor? Carried. This part of the meeting is declared a public meeting pursuant to the provisions of section 3412 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, to discuss an application for a change to zoning bylaw 2020-20 by the Township of Nipissing. So, is everybody ready? Any questions? Mover and a second. Councilor Carol Pinto. That we pass bylaw number 2025-21 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2020-20 as amended. Read this first, second, and third time and pass this 15th day of July. All in favor? Somewhere else.
Right, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody for having me this evening. Appreciate being here.
Moving on. Correspondence. Lakeland Highland Secondary School Appreciation Thank You Note. The Corporation of the Town of Colbert, Ontario's Bill 5 and its impact on the local food systems and environment. And we dealt with this and spoke on it already and moved it on to be able to respond. Ministry of Emergency Preparedness and Response, the Emergency Management and Civil Protections Act requires each municipality to develop and implement an emergency management program. Minutes from the township of Nipissing Court held July 2nd, 2025. Good. Need a mover? Curtin. And Councilor Scott. Then we received the correspondence report as presented, all in favor. So accounts, questions?
Yes. Long cut.
Yes.
Well, I'm just noticing it.
You got museum there, contract.
We split it between our museum and the center.
Okay, so, well, you got two museum areas on here. And beach and park.
So I can, the track, the both, like I had them serviced in the spring. And then the, all the hubs, they're non-reachable, non-serviceable. The bearings went on them just right after I had them serviced, so they had to go back in. It's new hubs, put it in that, the motor gas. But that's the cost, on both of them.
I'm voting, so that came out to.
The hubs are $420 a piece.
We charge some of that to the cemetery.
Yeah,
It is-
yeah.
It is charged.
Yeah,
Cemetery.
it gets split between the,
Well,
I saw the museum twice.
beach and park maintenance, and the museum.
That's
and museum twice.
two different track lawnmowers, right? So,
Okay,
but I mean, like I said, it's just a fluke. I mean, there's no servicing the bearings.
So there was two different invoices and they hit two different times. So one hit, the second, the July 2nd, and one hit the June 27th. So that was one lawn tractor, and then the other lawn tractor, the invoice came in. So they were both, the repairs were done, the same repairs happened to both lawn tractors, but I got one invoice one week and it was paid, and then I got another invoice and it was paid a separate time. So, and they're paid to the cemetery, the beach, the park, the maintenance, and the museum. I used 3 different account numbers to pay them, but it just happened that I got them at separate times. If not, it would have been bigger amounts on those 3
Oh,
account lines.
Well, yeah, no, and like I said, it was a fluke thing, and those hub assemblies are hard to get, and they're pricey. But I mean, those tractors are old, like, they're old and they're well used.
all right.
Oh, it was missed on this, on the
Yeah,
one?
Yeah.
for the 1/3, so it'll be adjusted.
Okay,
It comes out to the same big total.
Okay.
Well, no, I get it.
Okay.
Valued it up.
Yeah.
You're right.
They get it in two separate spots.
Yes.
Okay.
So you get each, and there's no cemetery.
Yeah.
So we'll have a
Okay.
cemetery, we'll really figure that out.
Okay, all right, good. I have one more, for drag materials.
Yep.
Are they all fitting?
I replenished our stock that we had used up last year and the year before.
We use that much up and did it,
The hose alone is $2,500.
so we're building our own hose.
We have rebuilt our own hoses. I mean, so like after the truck accident last year, we were doing maintenance on the other truck. And in 2022, and there was like 4 or 5 hoses that were like rough, great fashion. And we had sales like this, same, they were in the same spot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I went through some hoses today, we spent another $2,000 on hoses outside of what I do in-house.
Okay, now, do we have a system in place where we assign these items to a vehicle?
Well,
Like,
I mean-
vehicle log, maintenance log?
We're gonna, yeah, I mean, I was talking to today in town, we will, now that we say we use 40 feet, or 30 feet of hose, 2 fittings, 3, 2, we'll list our side.
Yeah, well, that's, like,
I mean, this is a budget item. So, I mean,
no, I get that, and just for tracking purposes, to know exactly, like, how many,
everything else.
yeah, so you know what hydraulic hoses got replaced on what, so it's in that log for that.
And
So when we do
we'll
our,
talk about that today, we'll start doing that.
yeah, because it'll fit well into our asset management.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? So I will move her. Is that? Mr. Perky? That the statement of accounts dated June 21st, 24th, 26th, 27th, 28th, July 2nd, 15th, and 10th, 2025, total $520,884.91 be approved. All in favor? So we're going to be going to a closed session. Yeah, thank you for coming out. So I need a mover. Second. Joe Pinto. Counselor Perky. That this part of our meeting will be closed to the public as authorized by section 239 2B of the Municipal Act 2001 C 25 for consideration of the following subject matter: personnel matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees. Council to receive an update regarding a staff member. Council to receive an update regarding a formal complaint regarding public safety. 7:10. That's 7:10. All in favor?
You're good, Mr. Mayor.
So, we can move her. For Scott. People. 749. That we resume to an open public meeting time 7:49. All in favor? Okay, I need to move her. Councilor Kirby.
Oh, sorry. Crazy, eh?
And, Peter.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Can we accept the proposal?
Yes, we are, we're good.
Yeah, that we accept the proposal from Urban RE for the development of an updated asset management plan. And that the work be financed through the Canada Community Building Fund budget line for 2025. All in favor? Carried. Need a mover? And second. Councilor Joe Pinko. That we pass bylaw number 2025-22, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held July 15, 2025. Read this first, second, and third time and pass this 15th day of July. All in favor? I need a mover. And a second. The meeting be adjourned at 7:52 p.m. Next regular council meeting will be held August 12, 2025. All in favor? And thank you very much. That was a long meeting.